Another beautiful day with Reed Davis. This is our second time interview, and since then, so many things changed because I learned so much about this functional medicine, and I'm actually studying it, and I'm really enjoying it. Today, we're going to talk about how lifestyle medicine helps with very health problems. Reed Davis is a founder of FDN and he's board certified holistic health practitioner. Welcome to my show, Reed.
Well, thanks so much for having me here, Pantea. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. All right. I know we already had interview together, but for people who don't know you, I really wish you can introduce yourself. Oh, I think we lost him. Okay, we need to wait till he come back again. Okay. Yeah, what happened? All
Uh,
right. Yeah, okay. So, Reed, can you tell me about yourself, what you do exactly? I already introduced you, but what happened to you to come to this field, functional medicine? And I know that you've done lots of labs and you already tested in so many people. And what was your experience and what do you want to talk about today?
well, I'll talk about anything you want to talk about. I noticed the title here says How Lifestyle Medicine Helps with Every Health Problem.
Oh,
It
sorry.
does. It does. I back in the 90s, I was in environmental law. I was a conservationist. I was cleaning up the planet, air, birds, water, trees, bees. And I started turning my attention after seeing how bad the environment was affecting the everything. I said, "What's it doing to people, including me?" I didn't want anything sneaking up on me, and so I started working in this clinic. And there, I became a clinical nutritionist and a certified personal fitness trainer, and I was helping the staff there. And it became really evident to me that people were stuck. Everyone walking in the office almost, and it really bothered me when they said that they had already been to five or more practitioners, eight, 10 practitioners. And I personally had not had any real health challenges other than getting banged up, from physical activities, sports, and motorcycle riding, and so on. So I didn't know how bad this medical system was. This Everyone was caught in this cycle of trial and error, and so I thought, I'm a pretty smart guy. I can figure it out. It was really naive, but I said way back then, over 20 years ago, I'm going to be the last person you need to see. We're going to figure out how to fix this permanently instead of just going from one practitioner to the next. You're trying this therapy and this diet and that supplements, and forget the doctor because they mostly have just drugs and surgery. That's all they have to work with. So people are too smart for that. And so, believe it or not, I started chugging away. I didn't know you couldn't do it. I ran thousands of labs on thousands of people, and I noticed some patterns. I also had very good mentoring at the time. Some of the leaders in alternative medicine, it was called back then, but I wasn't a doctor. So this is the key. They could look at these labs and diagnose and treat specific things, but I couldn't because I'm not licensed to do that. I had to look at those labs in a different way for just the healing opportunities. Like, can these labs, alternative labs mostly, can they show me what's really wrong with a person? And of course, I found out they could. There's healing opportunities in these labs. But then the other part, since I'm not a doctor, you couldn't just get out a prescription. and I didn't want to just sell supplements. I actually tried that at first. I was the training I had was kind of relative to that, and that wasn't working either. So I had to develop a complete lifestyle program, a very holistic program that would not treat anything specifically, but treat everything non-specifically. So every cell, every tissue, every organ, every system would get the benefit of these changes we'd make in behavior. So we run the labs now and we look for healing opportunities, and there's lots of them. And if you identify enough of them, that's the other thing, to identify a whole cluster of the most important healing opportunities, and then customize and apply the general principles of health building to that person, and they just get better. Like it says, how lifestyle medicine helps with every health problem. Yeah, I don't really uh, discriminate. Whatever your health problem is, if you run some labs, look at these healing opportunities. I could give you the labs we run, no problem, and then apply these principles, and I could give you those, no problem. Then people just get better. Now, we've been doing that for over 20 years. And in 2008, I actually started teaching a course so that others could do what we'd done so successfully in the office back in, again, back in Southern California, working with thousands of people. It just worked. So we spread the love around the world.
Yes, actually, what I just realized, you always saying you shouldn't treat the paper. So that's why, as you said, for the thyroid, you said, okay, it's low or high. Don't you then you try to adjust it with the hormones, and before you try to find the root cause of the issue. So of course that's not going to be resolved, and I like about that because that's the problem. So some medical doctors just go with the symptoms, but if they go and dig into it, they see they might find other underlying health issues, and those labs that you go through may not be found in general labs that we can see in medical system. So, what are these labs exactly, and why do you go through them?
Well, the labs are saliva, urine, blood, and stool testing for the most part. You can use hair, can tell you some things about a person that almost no other lab will. But we run these labs. It's not so important which exact lab or lab company and these kind of things. There's different ways to skin the cat. But you got to be looking at the hormones, the immune system, digestion, detoxification. And we look at energy production and the nervous system. Now, that happens to spell hidden, HIDDEN, hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, nervous system. So that's the pattern I recognized when I was running thousands of labs on thousands of people. No matter what their problem was, it was mostly women. They came in with migraines or female problems or just weight or fatigue, or you just name anything, aches and pains, all kinds of stuff. So I just noticed that if I worked on those things, and this took a long time to discover, mostly running hormone tests at first, and then I started looking at digestion and then the immune system and detoxification. So I learned the labs over a long period of time, and I came up with that pattern. It just appeared. I think I've been foolish not to notice, that there's a pattern going on here. So I don't feel like a hero or anything. I just recognized the pattern. I started, everyone who came in, I just said, well, here's what we have to look at, ran those labs, and we've found all kinds of healing opportunities in just about every person. And then, so those are the labs: hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, and so on. Spells hidden. And then the other important discoveries were found mostly in the area of lifestyle. Now, this office that I worked in was mostly chiropractic and acupuncture and massage, and I was the nutritionist. And I was responsible too for as the health director. So I pretty much interviewed every person walking in the door. That's when I recognized that cycle of trial and error that they were all caught in. And I started really realizing that it wasn't coming in the office that was helping them. It was going home and doing the things we tried to teach them to do during the period between visits. So I would say, Mrs. Smith, you're coming in the office, you're getting your adjustments and your treatment, but when you go home, what do you do at home? Oh, they just kind of go back to their whatever they were doing and thinking we're the ones they're going to fix them. And so another thing that I really recognize, and it's especially important today, is that these people were putting the control of their health in someone else's hands. If it's a doctor, you're going to end up on drugs. If it's a personal trainer, you're going to do exercise. If it's a nutritionist, you're going to eat better food. And so on. And so I started really thinking that control of their health needs to be in their own hands, not mine and not anyone else. So it became more of a challenge to educate. So I put it all together into a easy to learn form. It's called the FDN course.
Yes, what a course. I really enjoy it. So, Reed, tell me about the life. What do you mean lifestyle? What type of life we have to look for? Is it only diet, only sleep, or do you have a
Yeah,
formula
good
for
question.
it? Yeah.
So in our world, people have problems, and we take them as they are. They come with a certain set of instructions built into their body. That set of instructions, you could call it genetic potential. So there's innate intelligence. All your cells know what their job is, and they are subject to this genetic potential or your genes. It's subject to the environment and your behavior. That's what's influencing. That's where the signals are coming from. So let's say every cell in your body knows what its job is. You better provide it with some good signals, a good clean environment and a good clean lifestyle, or you will pay the piper. And this whole field of lifestyle, it's really epigenetics. It's epigenetics. So you have your genetics. You can't change that. You can't change who your parents were. I actually love my parents. I don't want to change who my parents were. But you can't change what you're born with, the deck of cards that you were dealt, so to speak. But epigenetics, we have a lot of control over that. And so, what are the main epigenetic factors? Diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplementation. Those are super epigenetic influencers that can provide very positive signaling to your genes, to your genetics, to your potential. And by the same token, remember where I started was the environment. It can provide very negative signaling, and those become negative epigenetic influences or factors. So we want to provide the body with lots and lots of good. We want to bathe your body in good epigenetics, good epigenetic factors. So that those things I just mentioned to you are, again, were recognized over a period of time as the main influencers: diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplementation. That spells dress.
Yes. Stress.
It's easy. So I have we actually were granted a patent or a trademark by the U.S. Trademark Association. They said, yeah, this is a very unique system, and it's obviously very successful. And so it's called Dress for Health Success. It's really all you need to do, because anything that isn't diet and rest and exercise and supplements falls under stress reduction. Now, that's where the environment comes in. It can be very stressful, or the wrong foods for your metabolic type, or you name some other very stressful things. Um, Diet's huge because it's it can be very detrimental, provide very negative signaling. And so with that one, you're getting two birds with one stone. Like for instance, we run a food sensitivity test. Well, you're covering diet. You're helping someone fine tune their diet with getting off the foods you're sensitive to. And food sensitivities are also a stressor. So you're getting double your money for food sensitivity testing. as you go through the tests that we offer and that we insist upon. It's just how we work. That's our system.
All right, we're gonna get back to this discussion and continue. We just have few second break and come back. Please subscribe to Pantea Kalhor Transition channel and order my book Naturally Conceived through Amazon. Thank you for watching. All right, you actually talk about a lot of things. It's really difficult to digest, but um, as you said, diet. I know everybody talk about diet, but um, I think it's better we talk about the customized diet, right? Not everybody's diet is the same because, um, like in my practice, everybody say, "Oh, what should I eat?" But as you see, by the time you don't have those results ready for your lab, you don't know exactly what's happening to your body. So the same diet is not going to work for everybody, right?
Right. Yes, absolutely. There's no one diet that's right for everybody. If we go back to the concept of signaling, there are some things good for everybody. Fresh air, sunshine, clean water. That's good for everybody. We know it. There's some things that are bad for everybody, like pollution, electromagnetic frequencies and blah, a bunch of stuff bad for everybody. But when it comes to food, it's a little bit different. There are some that are bad for everyone, like too much sugar and pesticide. The chemicals that are in food. That's bad for everyone. But what is good for everybody? We can't really think of anything because it depends who's eating it. It depends who's eating it. And there are food that are right for you, and there's foods that are not so right for you, not as good. And so, what's really important is to know, well, what is it about me that makes it good for me to eat, say, a certain amount of protein and fat and carbohydrates? And we know what those things are. It's very science based. It has a lot to do with the rate at which you actually burn fuel. Everyone has a different oxidative rate. So oxidative rate becomes a major test for us. We test everybody. What's your oxidative rate? It's as important as A1C or blood pressure or many, many other things. God, I can tell you so many things we measure that we just look for balance. And so you've got to eat foods that fuel your cells according to your genetic requirements. And those genetic requirements are different based on basically ancestry and genetics. And you could just picture, let's say, for 25,000 years ago, all of your ancestors ate a lot of meat and a lot of fat and very little carbohydrates. That's important to know. So it dictates the oxidative rate, the amount of protein, fat, and carbohydrate. That's in a sense the fuel mixture. So my people, 25,000. That's 500 generations, by the way, folks. 500 generations ago, uh, my ancestors ate a lot of meat. They didn't grow any grains or probably hardly eat much other than seasonal carbohydrates. The fruit and berries and nuts and things they could pick off the ground or whatever. But they didn't harvest anything. They were hunter gatherers. Now you take a different person who's from, let's say, the mountains of South America, and they ate a lot of corn and plant materials and tubers out of the ground. They dug up stuff and things like that. They ate some meat too. So that's one very, very important feature about a person is their oxidative rate. And if you can match that, you're going to make huge strides forward in getting the diet that's right for you. You just get the first thing we do is we get the carb to fat to protein ratios right. Now, so that's important. The other thing to consider, and this is a little bit tougher, is the makeup of that food, which proteins, which fats, and which carbohydrates, because the climate and the soils and other things going on in that environment were very, very different. So, for instance, where I came from 25,000 years ago, the soil, had certain nutrients, certain minerals, certain phytonutrients, and that would go into the plants, and the animals would eat the plants, or they'd eat each other. But somewhere someone was eating, and then we'd eat those. So we had just have it's bred into your bones, the nutrient requirements, the vitamin balances, the sort of body chemistry, vitamin balances, mineral balances, things like that. And that would be a lot different than those South American mountain people. Different. I mean, it still have the same vitamins and same minerals, but different levels. And when you do that after millennia and millennia and millennia, it's bred into your bones. Not only the fat, carb, and protein ratios that would be best for you, but the mineral content and the vitamin content and these kind of things. And believe it or not, um, you can figure it out. We have a system called metabolic typing, and it's actually better than knowing who your ancestors were, because just knowing who your ancestors were isn't good enough. We're so, about 12,000 years ago, after the last ice age, the whole world just kind of exploded into traveling and trade and commerce, and of course that's when agriculture was established and spread, and all kinds of other things were established and spread, industrialism and things like that. So the world has changed a lot from 25,000 years ago. So even if you know who your ancestors were, and I've done the gene test, so 23andMe and all that stuff, I'm 2% Neanderthal. My mom says, I knew it. So, so, um, so yeah, it's not even that good. It's much, much better today to use the other things we know about metabolic typing to figure it out. Again,
Yeah.
because of intermarriages and travel and um, things like that. So we have a system.
So, do you believe in vegetarians? Like being a
I think there are
vegetarian?
people who do better on higher levels of high quality carbohydrates. That is a fact. As to whether you can get by without any meat for some religious reason or some other sort of fly in the ointment kind of a thing, I've seen some very healthy vegetarians, but I'm not one of them.
Hmm.
I,
So,
I'm an omnivore. Most people are omnivores. That means, we all kind of descended from hunter gatherers. Some people had, again, it's what you had accessible in your climate environment and geography. The geography is incredibly important. So for some places where for thousands and thousands and tens of thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands of years there was lush grasses, grasslands with where they could get seeds and these kind of things, that's bred in their bone. So there are people who do very well on higher carb diets if they're quality carbs. I mean, yeah. So the answer is, you
depends.
know okay, I can deal with the vegetarian. But
But
I
you
don't
are not
I don't like to
vegetarian,
have to.
actually.
You just have to work so hard to get the same quality. It's the high purines in the protein that you're gonna miss. So
Yeah,
um,
it's
yeah,
difficult to
yeah.
yeah, compensate the protein actually. Yeah. All right. We're gonna talk more about metabolic chaos as well, because I know you all always concentrate on this uh, word. Can you talk about this a little bit?
Oh yeah, I'd love to. So remember, I'm in the office and I'm testing thousands of people, and I have a lady come in and she says, hey, I'm having this problem, and I could look on her face and see that she was very unhappy. And I said, what's wrong? She goes, well, it's this 40 pounds of weight that I have. And I said, well, what are you doing about it? Me, a happy guy. What are you doing about that? She goes, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm on this medication. I've been on it for 2 years, and I'm taking this medication because I get the hives on my skin if I don't take this medication, and it's making me gain weight, this medication. And so she said that she'd been to the doctor just in the last couple of days who prescribed this, and he told her, she said she's very unhappy with this extra weight. And he said, lady, you can be fat or you can have the hives. Take your pick. And she said, well, that's really depressing. And he said to her, she says, well, I can give you some antidepressants if you'd like. And that just really upset her. So she passed on the antidepressants. I could just tell the look on her face was so sad. And I said, well, listen, did you ever try to find out why you get the hives? What? What do you mean? I said, did you, you get the point. I said, well, you could just find out why you get the hives. Something's giving you the hives. You don't have to just take medication to make them go away. Matter of fact, whenever she worked out to a sweat, or if she took a hot shower, she still got the hives, even on the medication. So she couldn't work out to sweating and take hot showers. So I sent her home with a couple test kits. In a very short period of time, we had the mostly foods that she needed to invite to avoid. And within just another week or so, she was taking hot showers. She was working out to a perspiration. She was off her medication, and she was losing some of that 40 extra pounds. And this happened very quickly, and I was amazed at that, right? But the next person that came in who had a problem that I thought, boy, I know the answer. I know exactly what to do here. And this happened over and over. It didn't help at all. I had another case where I had a boy, the lady, she was coming in for care, and she said, asked me if I worked with kids. Said, yeah, I've helped raise 4 kids. I have I coach football, youth football for 15 years. Yeah, I know about kids. Why? What's going on? She says, well, at school, my 9-year-old boy, they're telling me that he's misbehaving. They says he has ADD, and they want me to put him on medication for his ADD. And she's very sad about that. And I said, well, do you think he has a medication deficiency? And this is going to correct that. And we laughed about that, but I ended up doing a couple tests on the young man. And I give you my word, within just a couple weeks after we changed his diet and some things, the principal of the school tracked me down and said, what did you put Billy on? As if it was just some pill. So I gave him something, to make the ADD go away. And no, what we did is we found an underlying contributor to the neurological problems he was having that was causing him to not be able to pay attention and to poke around at the other kids and stuff. I would have said maybe you just have boring teachers and maybe that's why he's not paying attention, but that didn't go that far. Not there. So miracle, right? Miracle. There's some cases like that. But then the next young fellow with ADD, exact same thing. It didn't work quite as well. That's when I coined the phrase metabolic chaos, because there's just things upstream, and when you think you know it all, your body just this chaotic upstream environment in the body, these metabolic processes, and that's why I call it metabolic chaos. So I offer no diagnosis for anything ever. It's not my job. You've had enough diagnosis. What you need is to know what are the healing opportunities upstream. Can we remove something or correct a deficiency or correct an imbalance or whatever it might be upstream that is filtering downstream, creating a lot of chaos. I mean, it could bounce here and there and here and there, and there could also be multiple causal factors. So these multiple causal factors are all crashing into each other too, all the effects that they're having. So it's impossible to sort out if you don't have a really good system. If you think it's run one lab, like it sounds like thyroid, and you check the thyroid, yep, pat myself on the back, I found your problem. And really those practitioners are just treating the paper. I found your
Exactly.
problem. Slow thyroid output. Here's your thyroid hormone to replace it. Well, that doesn't look far enough upstream for us. That leaves all kinds of healing opportunities off the table. You think you found the problem? Nope, you most likely didn't. And that's why people are caught in that cycle of trial and error.
You know what I like about your talk in PTSD? We're gonna have a summit soon with the trauma. What was the summit name? I forgot. And I know for even for the PTSD and emotional trauma, you may have some underlying issues which is not even emotional. You may have some physical issue which affect you, be angry and depressed. Because I see very good example. My daughter, when she's very hungry, she's angry. And she doesn't want to play, she doesn't want to do anything, she's just hungry. So, and that's happened to many people, and they don't realize that every piece of body is really related to each other. Because you may have some physical issues affect your emotional, you have some emotional issues affect your physical body. So it's so interesting that see how body works.
We would say she's hangry.
Hungry.
No, hangry. Hungry and angry together is
Oh,
hangry.
I see. Yeah, yeah.
So, well, listen, if you're not eating right, your energy will go down, and also your satiation. It's not fun to be unsatisfied by your meals, and there are key indicators for what satiation. Satiation is a actual thing you can grade. So, and obviously hunger, and another thing goes along with that. It's good food if it's right for you. Between meals, you should have some sense of well-being. So if you eat right, and I can't tell you how many people we change their lives around by just changing breakfast. Oh my God, I can't believe that 2 hours later, I'm still not hungry. I have no cravings. I feel fully satisfied, and I actually feel pretty happy. I mean, a sense of well being is what we call it. So imagine, can food do that? Yes, that's what it's supposed to do. That's what the right food for you will do. And so if you're walking around, grumpy for no reason and not satisfied and craving things, you're not eating right. You didn't eat. The previous meal was not right for you. Either the protein, fat, and carb ratios were off, and it'd be pretty easy to dial in if you just try keeping track, or take our metabolic typing test. At mtdiet.com, there's really a good test everyone could take. But that's part of the dress program. Remember, it's not just the diet. You need to be well rested. You need to have good exercise and be, not overweight and all kinds of things. You need to be well hydrated. There's lots of other types of stress that are environmental that will put you in a bad mood or make your head spin. You know, and finally, supplements can be very helpful. But back to what you said about the mental emotional, as we're working with people, we find that it's the opposite of what you said. Your problem isn't that you aren't eating right and going to bed. The problem is in your head that and these complexities within the mind and emotions can be another hidden stressor. So again, I throw everything that isn't diet, rest, exercise, or supplements into that. There's a hidden stressor. And a racing mind can be resolved with diet and supplements and things like that, but it can also be uh, resolved with training. There's training on how to meditate and close that, or shut that racing mind off. And it starts with realizing you're not your mind, you're not your emotions, and you're not your body either. If I cut your arms and legs off, you're still you. And if you those thoughts that you're having, they're also just accumulated uh, junk, a lot of it. And emotions aren't much different than thoughts. They're just, as one of my heroes says, those are just juicy thoughts. Emotions are juicy thoughts. And so, but they're not you. You're not your thoughts or your emotions or your body. And so there's a way to get some discipline around that.
Yes. All right. Do you have your last words? Because we are finishing uh, the
Sure.
show. Yeah.
No,
Something that
I
make us
never.
happy and give us some hope of recovery.
You know,
And especially for people who are dealing with chronic disease.
yes, yes. Actually, as a teacher, you know that we're never done. We could talk till midnight, but and go on and on. But I wanted to bring it back not only for chronic disease, like you just mentioned, but because you wrote a book on fertility in the natural way. I can't tell you how many people in all these years who had given up on getting pregnant. And I had a client once. She was coming in not for fertility, but for something else. She was overweight. She was tired. She was fatigued. She got headaches. She had foggy thinking, and just general malaise. She wanted to hire a health coach. We didn't use that term back then, but we started working together, and I ran all my labs, hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, and so on. We put her on the Dress for Health Success program, just straight up like anyone else. Same thing I do for my mother. Just it's what I do for everybody. And a few months later, my phone rings. I pick it up, and it's her. And she goes, "Read." It's Karen or whoever. She goes, I go, "Yeah, what's up? I thought something was wrong." And she goes, "I just have to tell you how happy Scott and I are here, and we're pregnant. We just came back from the doctors, and we're pregnant." I go, "Well, congratulations. That's great. What? Why is she telling me?" And she goes, "No, no, you don't understand. This is you. This is you. You're the one who got me healthy enough to have a baby." And so she wanted to thank me, of course. And so I just want to tell that little story. It's very true, and it happened more than once, many times, that when you get healthy enough, your baby you'll then be able to conceive. There's things in the way. There's there's just your body doesn't need to be getting pregnant if you're not healthy. It's not a good time to get pregnant, and maybe your body's smarter than you are if you're infertile. Now, there could also be pathology, and there could be some serious things. But in so many cases, it's not. It's just that you're not really in a position to conceive a healthy child. It could also be the husband's fault, but just most of the thing. As soon as we got the women healthy, they got better. So that applies to all chronic disease, fertility, anything you want to talk about.
Yes, thank you so much. My next book for this fertility series is going to be about male fertility. And as you said, because I believe that not only women, men also should contribute as a healthy partner. Because if you're not both healthy, so it's not going to happen. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you so much, Reed, for being here again.